welcome back to another video. Today I'll talk about my love and hate relationship with my new Tesla rear-wheel drive Model 3. Before I get started, I do want to mention that I have a couple links down below. I have my referral link if you are looking to buy a Tesla new, and I am doing a giveaway in my last video, so make sure to click on this link to go ahead and comment on that video, and you'll be entered to win a giveaway. I'll probably make a YouTube short in about 2 weeks to show off the 2 winners. Starting off with what I love, the quietness of the cabin is far superior to generic cars like the Honda Accord or Nissan Altimas. It really shows how luxurious Teslas can be. That also helps you carry out a conversation with your passengers without having to scream, and enjoying your music without having to blast it. Even in this rear-wheel drive version that lacks the subwoofers in the back, I still think the speakers are great. I have good bass response, and I really do enjoy the sound signature that they've implemented. The front seats are very comfortable, and the overall ride experience is smooth and relaxing. I really like the look of the interior as well as the exterior. It's just really sharp and refined in every way. And then one really random thing I'm really grateful for is things not falling in the cracks and tight spaces between the seats and the center console. That used to happen all the time in my previous car, and it has yet to happen in this one. Another subtle thing I like is the wheels underneath the plastic cover, which I don't expose because I do want that extra range. But let me know in the comments what y'all do. Do you think it's worth it to keep the plastic covers on or to flex your nice wheels? Some people do complain about the sunroof. It gets too warm during summer days, and I do agree with that. But if you get the Tesla sunroof shades, it kind of mitigates that. I think it's well worth it. Just kind of gives the car a very modern look, and get a lot more lighting in the car as you drive. Oh, I'm a sucker for deals, and I actually think this car is a really good deal. I got the $7,500 tax credit. Also, 4.9 second 0 to 60 is very impressive for this price range. I paid $41,000 total, including registration, taxes, and the financing interest. And so I think that that's a really good deal for the performance you actually get from this car. In terms of savings, I just did some quick math using my latest 200-mile efficiency, and I personally save $55 versus the $83 that they mentioned here of savings a month. Adds up to about $650 a year in gas savings. This is just city driving though, no road trips. So I think for road trips, I probably would save a little bit more money. So this is just on the safer side of, for me, at least $54 a month saved with gas. Insurance though does offset some of those savings. With my Tesla insurance app, I do pay from between $1,600 to $1,800 a year. And that's pretty competitive compared to other insurances, but that is decently expensive compared to other rates you can find for non-EV vehicles. Just a side note, I do pay $8 for full tank, which is the 363 miles. I also really like not having to go to gas stations, and plugging at home has really just become instinctual at this point. It's really easy and it doesn't take a lot of time. Now, some people actually don't really think about this, but when you buy a Tesla, you're investing in the chance to someday have a full self-driving car that does not require supervision. So if they really do achieve this in 2 to 5 years, I'll be able to sleep in my car on road trips. I'll be able to study on my way to work or watch shows with friends while this car drives me places. And that's 30 minutes a day of my commute time that I would basically just get back. The garage auto open feature I think is great. I love that Tesla's implemented that seamless interaction for when you get home, and it just uses its tracking services to kind of make your life easier. You can access it through this setting right here, but it usually just does it by itself. Mine's at 60 feet so that I can drive on the road without it opening. But if I pull up really close to my driveway, that's the exact position that it'll actually open. Now, the Tesla app I think is great and very easy to navigate. Tesla does claim to be a software company, and I really do think they shine in that aspect. I think the connection between the phone and the car is really cool. I can control my car from anywhere in the world, so I've started it remotely for someone to drive it without the key card. I preheat the car on cold mornings for my room using one swipe and one click through my control center. I'll make it fart when my girlfriend is driving it without me. And I can make the car drive to me in parking lots whenever I do have those full self-driving trials, which at this point has been for half the time I've owned the car in the last 6 months because of all the incentives Tesla has been having. That said, I'm giving them plenty of data, so really it's Tesla that's kind of winning in this situation, but it is pretty cool to get that $300 worth. And I'll talk a little bit more about Summon later on in the video in the hate section. Just a side note, when you do preheat your car and your car is plugged in, it'll actually use the energy from the wall charger as opposed to your battery, so that you don't lose that battery while you're driving. Your car just has to spend your battery on maintaining the current temperature that it was at. So that's a really great feature. And if y'all do want more tips and tricks like this, I am thinking of making another video, so just comment down below. Let me know if y'all do want that. The last thing I'll mention is the lack of key fobs or anything like that. I am always losing things, and keys also scratch your phone in your pocket. And so I really love not having to carry around anything that's bulky like that. The car is always open for me as long as the Tesla app is open in the background, and it always has unlocked for me with no issues at all. You just have to keep your Bluetooth on, but to me that hasn't really drained any battery or anything, and I'm pretty sure it has really low EMFs. But on the flip side, here's what I don't like about my new Tesla Model 3. Starting with the front trunk, I lose connection sometimes, and so I have to awkwardly stand in front of it waiting to open for up to 5-10 seconds. Also do wish it was a powered front trunk versus a manual one. I always have stuff in my hands, so when I'm closing it, you're supposed to use two hands, one here, to not, bend the fragile metal or whatever. That's what the manual says, and so that forces you to have two free hands. But usually if I'm taking groceries out or whatever it is, stuff out from here, I'm going to be holding that stuff, so it just makes it a little bit difficult to close at times. This next one I don't experience too often, but opening the doors at night, everything is flush, and you have to find this exact spot right here. That's what, like a 2 by 1 inch area where you have to press into in the right way. And so that can be pretty challenging at night when you really can't see anything. The hack for that one is just going to be to add the unlatch door shortcut onto your widget and use that when you can. This next one I've actually seen online, so it's not just me. It's the left turn signal, sometimes the right one too. It just doesn't register clicks at times. And also, if your wheel is turned while you're making a turn and you want to undo the turn signal or turn it on, it's pretty hard to find it because the orientation is all messed up. So overall, I would still pick stockless because I think it looks great. And it is really easy to access 99% of the time. And while we're here in the back, it's not super spacious, and I feel like the seats are not super comfortable. I am one-handed right now, but as you can tell, it is a little bit difficult to get in. And right now the seat's in the pretty reclined position, but still don't have too much space. Something else I've seen online is the light bar reflection. You can see it right here, a little bit throughout and on the left side there. And it's definitely more noticeable sometimes while you're driving. Right now it's kind of hard to tell, it's just not too much light out. But it really does affect my driving sometimes. It's just a little bit distracting. So that is something to keep an eye out for. In terms of battery life, that is one of the biggest critics of EVs. I have not had issues. People will talk about range anxiety. For me, it's something I actually have to think about now, so I don't, just go on a road trip. I had to actually, charge my car to the max the night before and kind of plan out some superchargers, but that's all it is. It's not stress. It's just a little bit of extra planning to me. It does suck that this battery doesn't go up to 100% and the manual doesn't want you to go below 20. So that right there is 40% of your battery that you realistically shouldn't even be using. That's kind of one of the big reasons I got this rear wheel version, because that gives you 363 miles. Cutting 40% off of that, you're still not, struggling too much. The Tesla service experience thus far for me has actually been pretty unprofessional and reactive instead of proactive. So I arrived for my first appointment only for them to tell me that that specific paint employee was out of office, and they knew I was coming in for that. So I don't understand why I didn't get a call earlier that day or earlier that week. Then it came to realize that they actually needed to get a quote from the body shop. And I had submitted pictures. So the second time I came, they took pictures for the quote with the body shop, and I had to come back. I might be an outlier, but I personally did not get the best experience so far. I don't think this happens to everyone. There's no way it does, because that's just not acceptable. Luckily though, everything should be free. And I actually went through all of the delivery date issues I had on my first video. I'll leave a link down to that below. In terms of summon, like I mentioned earlier, I think sometimes it's way too cautious, and it's embarrassed me a couple of times where it'll just freeze when people are well over 15 to 20 feet away. They're not even crossing the street, they're just standing there. It'll freeze and then start creating traffic in a parking lot. Luckily, people didn't honk or anything, but it's a little bit tweaky sometimes. I also think that most of the time you can't really use it, because let's say you're walking out of a mall and you're parked kind of far. By the time you're in range where it lets you do the summit, and by the time summon actually loads all the cameras and kind of starts up the whole summon process, you can already be at your car, so it's not even worth it. Last negative opinion of purchasing a Tesla is just that we're supporting the wealthiest man on earth, which I personally think might already have too much power, and so that's a little controversial, but that is something you have to think about. But weighing all the pros and cons, in the end, I do not regret buying this vehicle. It really is exciting to drive. I look forward to it every day. And yeah, don't forget to visit the link that I'm going to put down below for the giveaway. And I'll be putting out a short in about 2 weeks with the results to that. Good luck.